You're watching NFL Daily. Here's what's coming up. The latest rumors around the NFL, including Tyrann Mathieu and some new destinations linked for the former Chiefs safety. DK Metcalf trade rumors are back once again, with Bleacher Report putting together an intriguing package. Plus more safety talk. It is my show today, after all. Derwin James extension. Where do things stand between him and the Chargers? And the same conversation for Jessie Bates and the Cincinnati Bengals. All of that is coming up here on NFL Daily, so make sure you stick around for the entirety of today's show. You guys are watching NFL Daily by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey. Let's get into the Tyrann Mathieu conversation. One of, if not the outright best, free agents left unsigned on the open market. Honey Badger seems to be willing to take his time, and he made some comments about how he was heartbroken over his time with the Chiefs being over and how he probably would have taken the 3-year, $31 million offer the Chiefs gave Justin Reid to replace him at safety, although not quite sure I buy that. Hindsight, I think he would have done it, but I think at the time he was maybe searching for a little bit more money than what he ended up making from that standpoint. But ESPN's Dan Graziano has mentioned some new destinations, or at least one new destination for Tyrann Mathieu. The Eagles, of course, have been linked in the past. We know that the Saints have talked with him. He visited that organization. He's spoken with Mike Tomlin of the Steelers. But Graziano also mentioned the Los Angeles Rams, who continue to operate as if the salary cap is a printing press and they just simply make money, which they certainly can. The money would have to be worked out for Tyrann Mathieu. ESPN mentioned it being a potentially after the NFL draft signing, and maybe the money isn't what Mathieu thought he was going to get, so it's a bit of a discount, cheaper deal for Honey Badger. There was a report that teams were worried that Mathieu wasn't the same guy he was in his prime. And look, the pass breakups did dip. The interceptions have dipped from 2020 to 2021. You're not always going to pick off 6 passes, though. I do not think Mathieu is in his prime anymore. I also don't think he's a bad football player either. I still think that Tyrann Mathieu is really good at what he does. And there are plenty of teams who need a safety that should be interested in Mathieu if the cost isn't exorbitant. And maybe that's been an issue, maybe it's not. But given the teams in the market, they're all pretty good teams with some money to spend. I think he'll get a pretty nice contract when it's all said and done. So what do you think? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. Who do you believe will end up signing Tyrann Mathieu this offseason? You get the ad break on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know where you think he signs this offseason. Bleacher Report has put together a new trade package for one DK Metcalf as the rumors continue to swirl around the Seahawks' young star receiver because, well, the Seahawks are rebuilding and, they said they weren't going to trade Russ and then they did. The Saints, of course, get DK Metcalf in this trade package. Seattle ends up with a first and a fourth this year, plus a future second-round pick. So not that different than the offers that ended up going to the Chiefs for Tyreek Hill and the Packers for Devontae Adams. Of course, DK's not that caliber of player yet, but he is, very young. So I think the trade value is right. And I want to give Bleacher Report a lot of credit for that, since sometimes you see trade packages that are terrible. If the Seahawks, I should say, do want to trade DK, it's a pretty good offer. The Saints will be giving up all of their draft capital, though, in a way, to kind of get DK, because now they're down their first next year and their second this year. They've got one notable pick this year. That's a lot to give up. So who says no to this trade idea? Type in NO for the New Orleans Saints or SEA for the Seattle Seahawks. Who do you believe rejects this trade idea when it's all said and done? If both sides say yes, then we have a trade. Let me know in the comment section right now. Metcalf is one of the youngest and yet most talented receivers in the NFL. He has only put up 1 year over 1,000 yards, but all 3 have gone over 900. He's averaged almost 1,000 yards per season, at least has done that, I should say, over that, and almost 10 touchdowns per campaign. He's really good, is what I'm saying. As long as there are not physically 3 cones out there to prevent him from turning, he's been one of the best young receivers in the NFL. Seattle's side of why you keep DK is this. Yes, you are rebuilding. This idea that I've seen that it takes you 5 years to rebuild, no, it doesn't. does not do that. That's not how it works in the modern day NFL. Now, if you continuously suck, okay, but Metcalf does fit this team's rebuild timeline. He is young enough that even if you pay him a new contract right now, whoever the young quarterback ends up merging as would still be benefiting from a prime DK Metcalf. That's why I think a trade this year makes no sense. But next year, a Tyler Lockett trade could start to make more sense for Seattle. For New Orleans, they appear to be willing to go all in right now. They have Michael Thomas. Adding DK Metcalf as an outside vertical threat is tantalizing as far as I'm concerned. And you wonder if they don't go QB with those 2 first-round picks they have now, if they instead end up searching for going receiver and maybe left tackle. But when it comes to Seattle, will they end up trading him away? Y for yes, N for no. They can make this all go away by paying DK $25+ million a year. It's a lot, though. So make your prediction. Will the Seahawks trade away Metcalf? Y or M? NFL Daily is also on Rumble. We do NFL Daily after hours once a week on Rumble exclusively, by the way. And the Rumble app allows you to play videos in background instead of always having to have the YouTube app up, which I know can be a little bit troubling, but you can pull up other things and still listen to the videos as well, which I find super useful. Great for driving. That way you are not recklessly driving out there. Rumble.com/NFL Daily. Go follow us and support us over there. Back to safety conversation now. Derwin James, USA Today's Tyler Dragon. First off, great name, by the way, for a reporter. The Chargers are, quote, cautiously optimistic about getting a new deal done with Derwin James. Now, the hope is to get that deal done and finalized and finished before the start of the 2022 season. Derwin's in the final year of his contract. And when he's been out there, he's been awesome. I think the expectation for Derwin's camp, and it should be this, is to be the highest paid safety in the NFL. That is how the market works. When you are a top, even 10-ish player at your position, you get paid like the highest in the NFL. The best player is not always and rarely is the highest paid player at his respective position. I mean, all these guys, Eddie Jackson, Budda Baker, Justin Simmons, Harrison Smith from Alums, at one point were the highest paid safety at their position, but the market continues to go up as the salary cap continues to go up. The concern the Chargers might have is injuries. When he's been out there, 2018, 2021, Derwin's a premier safety, top 5 easily at his position. He's also played 5 games total in 2019 and 2020 combined. So those injuries are very real red flags. The guaranteed money might be the one to monitor given those injury problems for Derwin, and that's also why his camp will want a lot of guaranteed money. Now, if you want the latest NFL news, rumors, trade buzz, free agency coverage, and of course every pick for the entire 2022 NFL Draft, hit that big red button and subscribe. It's 100% free here on Chat Sports, so make sure you guys are subscribed right now. While you're down there, we would be remiss to not mention the unfortunate, untimely passing of Dwayne Haskins, the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback who tragically lost his life when he was hit by a car on Saturday. So there's not really much that we are able to do, unfortunately, but of course, everyone here at Chat Sports, their thoughts and prayers go out to Haskins, his family, his friends, the Steelers organization. So go and head down to the comment section and type in RIP. Of course, feel free to do so. Back to Jessie Bates now, the conversation around the Cincinnati Bengals starting free safety who is currently on the franchise tag with the organization. Now, USA Today, again, Tyler Dragon reports that the Bengals and Bates have not started contract conversations. I would assume that the Bengals are a bit more preoccupied with the draft right now. That's a small organization. They don't have that many people employed, whatever. So they got to take their time with stuff. The contract for Bates, much like Derwin James, could easily, and I expect it would be, a record setter for the safety position, depending on who gets paid first. The first guy to get paid among Jessie Bates, Derwin James, probably gets the less of those two because that's how markets work in free agency and in the NFL. So if you could pick one of these two guys, who would it be? Type JB for Jessie Bates or type in DJ for Derwin James. Let me know in the comments section. I figure most of you guys are going to pick Derwin James, although I'm a big Jessie Bates fan. They play very different styles, right? Derwin James can hang out a lot more successfully around the box, can cover tight ends, can be your chess piece on defense. Jessie Bates is your deep safety, and 1 interception this year. It's regular season stats only. He balled out in the postseason and made a bunch of great plays for Cincinnati. He has consistently been a playmaker for that organization. Do not discount that in any capacity, the things he has been able to do so far. If the Bengals don't want to pay him, which would be a mistake as far as I am concerned, there will be a long list of teams definitely throwing big-time money towards Derwin James, or Jessie Bates, excuse me, but also Derwin. If you got questions on the NFL, and especially the NFL draft, hit me up on Twitter. My DMs are open at WhatGoingDowney.